8, we would have quorum to go ahead and have an election. But Francis went ahead and President's Council went ahead. Francis is logging on now. She should be on any second. We still had a lot of schools in our district that are having the election on the 15th today, 14, 15, and 16, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, to give those newly elected presidents an opportunity to come to President's Council and cast their vote. So that for that reason, Francis thought President's Council thought it was best to go ahead and have the election on the 21st. So that way we have more people represented and more people could come and vote. If any of you are thinking or want to vote for President's Council and learn, you can also self-nominate yourself next Tuesday for any of the positions that are available. And that's because if you're a president at your school or a designee, you could go ahead and run for district President's Council, which is like the PAPTA of the district. So Francis is in because I just let her in, but I don't see her on the screen. Is that her? We're gonna give her a minute. She says she's waiting in the waiting room. All right. All right. Here we go. Thank you for waiting. All right.
You could co-host us.
Hold on a second. To who? To you?
Francis. I see her on the list.
Hey everyone. Just change my background.
Hey Francis.
I just did.
That's the real background.
I know. Oh, let me see it. Wait, I'm in my computer. I don't see which one she got.
It was just her blinds. No, it was like
just
it was her real background.
Fancy.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Oh, she doesn't have her office, her conference table.
No.
Yeah, this one. This is the one Danielle likes. But look, Danielle, look at this. I've upgraded my office.
Wait, hold on. I need to see. Wait,
nice.
It's always sunset in that office.
Wait, I can't get onto Zoom. I lost. You know when you lose your oh, here it is. I got it. Let me see, Francis. What do we got?
The boardroom.
She got the boardroom going? Okay.
All right.
There it is.
So, Francis, I was letting everybody know that today is just a regular meeting and that on the 21st will be our elections because we have a lot of schools having elections Tuesday, tomorrow, the 14th, 15th, and Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So to give them an opportunity to come and vote next Tuesday so they could go ahead and vote for President's Council for the year 22-23. And we're going to go ahead. Go ahead, Francis, take it away.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Francis Gonzalez, and we're going to start our meeting. I don't see Christine here, so I'm going to table our minutes for this meeting. And I think everyone's just getting ready for elections. So some of our schools have already completed them, and some of them are going to do them. Most of them are doing them this week. That's why we're giving people more time. Our elections are next week, and please, if you consider running, we always need a president or co-presidents, treasurer, or I don't know. We have co-s in all the positions, I believe, in ours, right?
Yes.
Co-treasurers and recording secretary. And so please really consider running. It's really not a complicated.
Louis has my background. Louis, how did you do that?
You know,
Francis,
You know, I
did you
said-
see what he's doing? Give that to Francis.
you know,
I'm
I
sorry.
emailed the whole team and I said one meeting. I want all of us to have Danielle's desk.
And I was gonna
That's
do
the
it, but never
background.
mind.
That
I'm
would
sorry,
be
Francis.
nice.
I didn't mean
But
to
no
call
one
out. I
else
just got
did it.
shocked.
I would do that, but I put Danielle in a picture on my background.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Francis.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, you know, we did that for a play once. Everybody had the same background. So interesting. What was I saying? Okay, so please consider running next week. If anyone would love to run for my seat, I would. But otherwise, yes, please, you know, step up. Get to work with Esther and Danielle, and that's about it. So that'll be Tuesday, June 21st at 6:30. It's just an election. In order for us to have an election, we need quorum. We need 2 board members and 6 parents. So please come. Okay, at this time, I'm going to pass the floor to Danielle for her report, and then we have a speaker today from Inside Broadway. I see you, Katie.
Would you like me to go out, Francis? Because I can go out and come back in.
There's
Fine.
nothing.
Okay.
Francis, there's one question in the chat.
One question in the chat?
It was sent directly to me, so I'm going to read it.
Okay.
It says, do you have any info on what these positions entail for President's Council? So I guess the 3 positions you just spoke about.
I can give you a little background of what I do, right? So this is a little different from a regular PTA, right? Because what I do is I support all the PTAs in our district. So if there's any, hold on one second, because I think my husband wants to be part of this meeting. Hold on.
We're going to convince everyone.
I think he's interested in to know the position.
That's the run.
So like what I do is I support all of our PTAs, whatever issues they may be having. My job is to make sure that everybody's functioning and everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. If there are any issues that they encounter, then Esther and I will work together with them to try to help the issues. And we've been doing that for the past several years. So for example, if someone sends an email out of, you know, how do I do this? Or what do I do if this happens? We usually try to give out an answer within 24 to 48 hours. If we do not have an answer, then we still give you an answer in 24 to 48 hours to let you know that we are working on getting you an answer. So that's basically what you do. We usually meet with our executive board like at least once a month, or anytime we just want to talk about what we want to share at these meetings, any speakers and so forth. There's not a lot to handle. And remember, we're virtual. Eventually it's going to turn more in person. So I think before, right, Danielle, the President's Council would go into the schools and kind of meet with some PTAs and so forth. But right now it's virtual. You do have to attend a CPAC once a month and try to make as many meetings as you can to just get informed and for that you could further support the parents. The recording secretary obviously just takes the minutes, and we don't need word for word verbatim minutes. We just need highlights of what's happening. Sometimes because of the recordings, you can actually go back to the recordings and it'll help you with the minutes. And then the treasurers, we don't really have any like fundraisers that we do, but when we do collect dues, we have the treasurer go to the bank and so forth. And, you know, so it's not a lot of work, but we definitely need a board in order to be compliant with our district. So that we need. And that's basically it. Someone said, do you work with FACE? Yes, we do. FACE is always there. They usually meet with us monthly. A representative of FACE will be designated to us. And we actually talk to them and they give us updates. But usually the updates come from FACE and we trickle it down to you anyway. That's about it. Any other questions? Louis, you viewed it.
If there's anything in the bylaws that actually describes each position, if you want to send it to me, I can put them on the website too, just like a little blurb. Or if you want to write,
they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I can copy and paste it right onto the web page so that when people are looking at the elections, they can get a little sense of what each position is.
Okay. Are we good with the questions? Let me check.
Yep. There's nothing else. You got it.
Danielle, you're on.
Well, thank you, Francis. So I will say I am excited that there will be elections, and I hope we get as many parents as possible to run for the board. So, and I do encourage everyone to be involved. I do want to say that Frances is very modest in the work that she has done, because I think she spoke, basically about what President's Council has done, but Frances has done a tremendous job in being a parent leader. She's gone to Central meetings and established relationships with Central. And I think you do something for PAC, right? Don't you? Are you a representative? Not PAC, CPAC, don't you?
CPAC, yes, CPAC.
Yeah. And she makes sure that she brings back this information to the district. She is a parent voice. She is a parent leader. And I want to take an opportunity, Frances, to thank you for all the work that you've done this year. You have been such a support to me and just giving me, parent perspective all the time. And I really want you to know that I value that. So I appreciate you and the work that you do in keeping all of this together, because it's not easy when we're virtual, right? It's easier, I believe, when we're in person, right? At first I thought, this could be great, but there's just so many things and so many moving parts that you have to make sure that you capture when we're virtual. So I want to thank you for all the work that you've done. You've really have truly been a parent leader for us, and we appreciate it. Oh, Mike just said, thank you, Frances. Here he is.
Thank you. Thank you guys for being a great support for us parents and always listening to us. You give us a place to be heard, and that's what makes our district so great. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, so one of the things that Frances forgot about is that President's Council also sits on our district leadership team, which is like the SLT of the district. So today we had our district leadership team, and there was a couple of things that I wanted to remind our PTA presidents about. So remember, in order to collect remuneration for your service on SLT, you have to do, it says 30 hours because that's the max that they'll pay you. But if you've done less than 30 hours, it's fine. You have to fill out those remuneration forms. But the other piece is you have to do the additional 2 hours of training. So we ran the 2-hour training this year, but we also recorded it. And so just please make sure that you have done that, because we are, Lewis sent something out today from the DLT, making sure that all the SLT members, when they fill out their remuneration form, that they also just discuss the fact that as a team, they've all been trained for the additional 2 hours. The second piece is we have also done a biennial review, and a biennial review really checks on SLT health. The biennial review has been sent to your chairperson, the results of that to your chairperson as well as the principal. And we gave you 2 activities, recommended activities, that we are asking the SLTs to engage in. And it's really a discussion about the work that a lot of parents really ask about. So we're asking for SLTs to go over that activity in June, but then again in September and October. It talks about, and it asks questions about monthly, do we talk about our CEP? Are all constituents engaged in goal writing? Do we get feedback from our constituencies around what's happening at our schools? So if that has not been done at your SLT, please surface it, because we sent out the recommended activity last month, but Lewis also sent it as well today. So, so just make sure that that is part of the discussion, because I do believe that parents on the SLT will really benefit from that. Okay, the next piece is something that I also want to celebrate Frances for, is something that we're going to be going through a lot this year, because we have a lot of principals who are retiring. But I do believe that PTA presidents should be aware of the C30 process, and parents should be aware of the C30 process. So I've asked Frances if she would be willing at the beginning of next year to do a workshop for parents around the C30 regulation, which is a chancellor's regulation for hiring principals. So all parents understand the process that happens at the school level in order to hire a principal. I don't think enough of our parents know about it. It is also a process that we go through in hiring assistant principals, and many of you may have gone through it, but I think it's important that all the presidents of our PTAs are familiar with the C30, just so they know about, you know, their place on the committee, how we can gather parents, because I normally get a lot of questions when I announce a retirement. Right? But I really think it's important for our parent leaders to understand what goes into the process and to make sure that they have the best representation possible. Frances, did you want to add anything to that, or?
No, we're going to put something together to just educate our parents so that maybe if someone has a question, then the parents can answer them themselves.
Yep. Okay, so in enrollment, just so you know, high school acceptance letters went out. If you had any issues or concerns with your accounts, please feel free to reach out to your child's guidance counselor. They can help you. And then also if other parents reach out to you with concerns, you should direct them to their guidance counselor for support. Gifted and talented application is currently open. And I think I talked about this with you guys at the last meeting to say that all of our gifted and talented programs that we initially had in our elementary schools have been reinstated. And we are taking on another gifted and talented program that starts in 3rd grade. And that program is going to be housed at PS 24. The application is currently open, but the deadline to apply is tonight. And interested New York City families with children entering kindergarten, grade 1, 2, or 3 this fall are welcomed and encouraged to apply. Results, including offers, will be available in late July, and visit www.schools.nyc.gov/GT for more information. School calendar is out, just so you guys know. Certain things. So as you know, we are off this coming Monday for Juneteenth. But just some highlights for the beginning of school. September 8th is the first day of school, and June 27 is the last day of school for all students. And just so all parents know, I'm sure you are aware, it is a full day. Promotion and summarizing. Promotion letters for students being retained for June that will be going to summer school will be sent home to families. Actually, they should have been sent home to families between June 6th and June 10th. So many families may have received them already. If not, they'll get them one day this week. Summer school letters with summarizing and other summer program information will be sent home to families by Monday, June 27th. And summarizing begins on Tuesday, July 5th. I know a lot of parents had asked about summarizing seating. We had a little over 4,000 seats for our summarizing program, and they filled up very, very quickly. So I know that a couple of families were asking about what happened in terms of that. It was just an online enrollment process that that we had a lot of families interested in it, and it filled up very quickly. We are asking, and Louis, if you could put this in the chat, if you received a seat at summarizing and something has changed and you will not be going to summarizing, that you complete the form to unenroll your child, because that will open up a seat for other families who may be interested in and are waiting to see if opportunities open up at the school, at each individual school that we have. We have 11 summarizing sites this summer. Okay. I see Louis is answering questions in the chat. I didn't know if anybody had any questions for me before I go.
Okay, let me see. It says, how do we know we attended the training if we don't remember? Whether you went to the training or not, it's online. So if you want to just see it again, the links are there. It's a 2-hour training.
Yeah, so the training was virtual, but it was during the school day. It was in February. What month was it? In March? February, right?
I think it was April, wasn't it? No?
April?
I can't remember. But I know it's I know it says the SLT training on it, on the link.
Yeah, it was there. It was during the day, and it was on Zoom. So I feel like you would know if you were there. But if you were not, like Francis just said, I put the link in the chat. All the way at the bottom of the DLT's page, you'll see like a aqua color bar that says SLT training. You click on that, and you'll see the links to all of the modules, and you can go through the training yourself. I think this is what the superintendent was referring to meet the requirements for the 2-hour training, and then you just have to tell your principal that, or your SLT chair, that you completed it.
Yes, and I see Rachel just put it, and I just actually checked it, that yes, G&T application has been extended to Friday.
Yep.
So anyone who's interested, thank you, Rachel. Please, please make sure that you're applying by Friday.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Danielle? Anyone? You can raise your hand and mute yourself.
I saw on a letter that was sent out from Kathleen O'Hara that the start date of the school year was changed. Now it's the 13th, not the 8th, unless I'm looking at something wrong.
Hold on.
Who's Kathleen?
It's from the New York City Department of Education, Payroll Support Specialist District, 25, 26, 24, 25, 26.
Hold on.
How'd you get that email?
They told us at school.
She works at a school.
Oh, okay. That's why.
So I don't know if it's
Catherine's not public facing. She's not family facing.
No, that's 21, 22. Wait, hold on.
It says District 24, 25, 26. So I didn't know if it changed.
Well, that's where Catherine works. That's where she should
got you.
So the first day of school is Thursday the 8th.
Yeah, I don't know why she said that.
And the last day of school, which I think what Janelle was talking about, for kids is the 27th, a Tuesday. That's for next school year.
Oh, for next school year, right? But
next school year, right?
Wait, I want to find the. Did they pull? Oh, 22, 23 school calendar.
I'm on it right now. It says.
Yeah, I'll hold on. I'll share my screen, Tiffany.
All right, just so I know. I mean, I want to make sure I send my kid on.
Yeah, no.
Oh, Tiffany, you're not going to miss the first day.
Hold on.
I might.
Of all the people, you're not going to miss it.
I know.
Not you, Tiffany.
All right, wait. Let me see here.
And I'll put the link in the chat because it's exciting. The calendar comes out. Everyone's life is around this calendar.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, did she send that today, Tiffany?
I don't know. They were talking about it, so that's why I wanted to ask, because you said it. Someone had mentioned it at school. Oh, they changed the date for next year. School starts on the 13th. I said, oh, okay. I didn't think anything of it. So that's why
I'll check. I get her emails. I'll check.
Yeah, I'm thinking that somebody might have made a mistake and looked at
this year's
calendar, because this year's calendar started on the 13th. See, look, yeah. Hold on, I'm just going to share the screen real quick.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Are you talking about the last day of school, Tiffany? What are you talking about?
No, she's talking about the first day of school being the 13th.
For next year.
My screen?
For next year, it's September 8th, Thursday, okay. September 8th.
Yeah, do you see my screen or no?
No, not yet.
Do you know?
Yeah, we got it.
That I have. Okay.
Yeah,
then maybe they were misinformed.
Danielle, do you know if the last day of the next school year is going to be a full day? Because it doesn't say.
Yes.
It is a full day. Yes,
full day
it's a full day. Yep.
We don't do half days on last day of school anymore.
Yep, full day.
Anymore ever? No.
Ever. We haven't.
You can't, don't say ever. But
7 years we haven't done it.
Right.
It's unrelated to COVID.
Well, all right, Tiffany. So what we'll look into like the discrepancy there. But I have a funny feeling they were looking at the calendar from last year.
Probably.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, no, but if that email went out, I wouldn't want it to go out to parents.
No, it didn't go out, the email. They said they had read.
Oh,
things.
okay.
So they didn't send anything out.
Okay.
They were just
I'll tell you, as a provider, they did say the 13th. They sent us and then they changed it.
Oh.
So that's where there might be confusion. Like 2.5, 3 weeks ago, they sent out an email with what the school year was, and it was the 13th.
And then they changed it to the 8th. Okay, perfect.
Or maybe that's
Thank you.
Maybe they looked at something.
Yeah, could be.
Okay, so anyone else has any other questions for Danielle? Okay, so right before we get into our speaker, I just wanted to give a CPAC update. And the CPAC stands for Chancellor's Parent Advisory Board, Council, really. And it's just basically, it goes to PTAs, right? And then it goes to President's Council. And then all the presidents of President's Council meet, and that becomes the CPAC. And then they form an executive board. And then the chancellor comes there once a month with a few other speakers, and we get to kind of learn things at a much higher level. So the chancellor came, Chancellor Banks came, and he just wanted to talk to parents about safety and what we feel is safe in our schools. He wanted to get like the scoop on parents and what they felt. I'm just going to tell you what a lot of the feedback was that he received from the parents. I cannot give you what's definitely going to happen in our schools, but I can tell you the conversations that people are having. And they're saying that they want our front doors locked. They want our front doors locked and with cameras in the front. And for people to get buzzed in to get into a school. That was one part of the conversation. Another part of the conversation is people saying that they want the NYPD to have access to our cameras outside the school and maybe kind of monitor the schools to see if there's any suspicious activity happening outside the schools so that they can inform the schools, because principals and teachers, if they're working, they're not going to be able to see outside what's happening. Another conversation was, can the NYPD have access inside of the cameras in the school? And some parents were okay with it, some were not. So that's things that, you know, but people were saying how important it was that if an intruder was to be in the school, how great it would be if the NYPD had access to what was happening inside, and they would be better know how to approach the situation. Another thing came up of gear, like helmets and body gear to have in each classroom. So all these things are things that parents are thinking, the city's thinking about. So I just wanted to let you know that safety is on the minds of our district and our city. And I'm hoping to give you more information soon. Carlos, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up question. Would there be any funding requirements from the Department of Education to the police department, or would this be a free service?
We don't know yet. It's all brand new, but they are working out something probably to see how we can kind of work together and see how this could work. I mean, we don't know what stage we're in, but we know that safety is a very big issue for our schools.
No, that's good to know. Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any? And the CPAC meetings are open to the general public. You get to see it on YouTube. And so I recommend as many meetings as you can attend, you know, our CEC meetings, our President's Council, or your PTA meetings. They give you a lot of information, and we get it right from our superintendent, you know. So as parents, you want to get as much as information as possible. It's just easier, you know, and then we can educate the other parents and be well informed. Rachel, you have a question?
Yes. We have parents that have already expressed interest in the PTA funding something to do, because I believe something went out about the doors costing like $1,500 to $1,800. Some email somewhere, or maybe it was a newspaper article. And so one of our parents has asked the PTA to look into if it's something that we can fund. Is that something that
so I
handle that request?
It's
so
for
I
magnetic
could
locks.
I could speak to that. And one of the things last week that we had a town hall meeting with one of our assemblywomen, and the chancellor came in, and what he was really talking about, and I'm sure, Francis, he said the same to you, is that we really do as communities need to come back together and really start talking about what safety means and what are some of the expectations that we would want to see in terms of safety. But one of the things that I think is really important for PTAs to know is that when we do standard policy around certain things, it has to be a standard policy across the city. So you can't have one PTA buying a door lock and then a certain type of door lock, and then another PTA doing that. So that becomes like a standard safety practice that is usually implemented by the city. It was the same thing with safety cameras. We have a lot of parents, and it was on the CEC as well, pushing for the installation of safety cameras across all of our schools. Some of our elementary schools still don't have them. A PTA can't purchase them. Because it has to be, done across the city in the same way. But, and I know the article that it was in the Staten Island Advance, I read it too, where they were talking about prices. Right. But that's not to say we shouldn't continue to talk about if those are the things that we want as a community, that you can continue to escalate that through me, through Francis, and to just really say, like, these are the things that we want. I also talked about when after Sandy Hook, I joined my children's schools safety committee, and we had similar conversations that I'm happy that the chancellor really wants our input around, like, what does it mean to be safe, right? And I remember, we had conversations about having certain things in schools, and some parents were really against it. And saying, I want my children to not have to be in certain types of environment. But either way, it was a good conversation because we defined what it means for kids to be safe, and certain things like locking the door came up. And one of the parents said, what if a child tries to run into a school and can't get in? Right. And we kind of went back and forth and just had, for me as a parent, it was a very meaningful group, because at the end of the day, the decision that we made was a full discussion. And there were people who were on two opposite sides. It's like a full discussion of what defines safety in our schools. So I'm glad to hear that the chancellor wants to do that. I'm looking forward to that.
And refresh my memory, is the PTA president automatically part of the safety committee?
Yes.
Okay. I thought so. Thank you.
And you know what, Rachel, I would say that when you go to these meetings and you get a chance to speak at like your local CEC, you can give them recommendations of doors that you think that would be good for our schools. It doesn't mean that those are the doors they're going to pick, but it kind of gives them insight of what's out there, and they may take a look at it. So, anytime that parents have ideas, the city is taking ideas from parents, because we're the ones in the front line. We're the ones going to the schools every day. We're the ones seeing what's happening. We see all the traffic that's happening around the school. So definitely, if you have ideas, I know that a lot of things that go in the school, sometimes they have to have the vendors, special vendors and stuff like that. So it's not even easy to put sometimes an air conditioning in your school, Yeah. It's something that sounds so simple that we can go get at PC Richards. We can't sometimes do that in our schools.
Yeah. And I'm sure I'm sorry, Francis, just one last piece, but I'm sure there was a couple of things that following this terrible tragedy in Texas that we talked about and revisited as a district, where it's important for parents to know during the day, there's only one door that's open, and that is the front door. All other doors are locked and alarmed. And so I put something out to all of our communities where I said, during the school day, no one is exiting any door except the front door. I don't want to see people walking out, somebody unlocking a door, even if a door is open. So I sent something and had conversations with principals about reinforcing that at your safety committees. And I model that all the time. You know how many times I park and somebody goes, oh, come in this door. I'm like, nope, I'm going in the main entrance, because I think it's important for people to know that there is one door that we go in and out all day. That's safety. So even if your car is parked over here, or you need to go pick something out, you have to keep your building safe. So we wanted families to know that, because not all families knew that. And then we just talked about going over a school safety plan. You know, we can't talk about every detail of the safety plan because some of it would sort of breach safety, but to really come and speak at safety meetings, your BRT, make sure everybody is trained for emergency purposes. If not, we got to get them retrained. So those are all things that we can ask for right now at the local level to make sure that that's happening. If you have a change of leadership, that might be something that a PTA president would say, like, can you double check the BRT? Make sure that you understand what our policies are. Do you know our safety plan? So now it's not just about knowing curriculum. Now it's about making safety part of our conversations, right? And making safety part of our culture.
And I just want to add too, like when you have assemblies coming in and these are vendors coming in, you might, if you have to have like a special door open because there's a ramp, I would recommend, because it's a door, they temporarily take off the alarm, that you stand right there and make sure nobody comes in. Once that door is open, we usually stand there and we make sure that nobody comes into that door. So, you know, and that goes across the board. So that usually happens when assemblies come in and they can bring in equipment and stuff like that. But there still should be supervision. And as soon as they finish and close the door, you contact your security guard and tell them for them to redo the alarm at that door. So I just want to put that. Somebody has a question, JB13 Pro.
Yes, hi, how are you?
How are you?
So I am one of the PTA presidents for PS21. And we had a carnival, like, I don't know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and it was outside in the courtyard of the school. And some of the parents were concerned about the security we were going to have outside of the school building during the carnival. So we just assured them that, you know, it was going to be regular school security. And I kind of had volunteers at the entrances of the courtyards, but we couldn't lock the gates. The principal said we could not lock the gates. So I guess it's a safety hazard for people exiting the courtyard. So I'm not sure, like, we have graduation coming up outside as well. I'm not sure if that's a safety issue or if that's something we can even address. I don't know.
So I could speak to Mr. Swirsky about that, but I think the important thing to know is the PS21 schoolyard is not DOE, it's parks. That is part of the reason why we can't lock the gates, but I will speak to him about, about other things that can be done. And a couple of things that we said to principals as well, just in terms of safety, is, we live in a city. Our schools are in cities, right? So you drive around District 25 and our schools are in the middle of neighborhoods. And so what are some of the things that we're including in our safety plan and our expectations for when kids are outside? I think you raised an important question that schools should have an answer to. So if it's not just, so you do have school safety agent, but are you putting people at certain points in a schoolyard when you are having a carnival or something like that to make sure students aren't, don't leave out a gate by mistake? Or so what are all of those things have always been considered, but what we ask now is specifically for schools to revisit that. And that includes parent voice.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to what you said, Danielle, where they're trying to work as a community. We need to think about, even when you do basic PTA events or fundraisers, you need to think about that security, and you need to have enough volunteers to know who's going to be here at this door. And if someone needs to go to use the bathroom or leave that station, that someone else is there. Security is always going to be an issue, and you have to be aware once you're outside. You just have to be aware of your surroundings. If you see someone that seems strange or some type of activity, there has to be some type of communication contingency plan, just like we had in COVID, right? We had to have certain materials there. We had to have antibacterial, certain things had to be certain distance apart. So it's almost like the same thing with safety, you know? So, you know, we find ways in our school. What we do, since we're part of a public park, we kind of have put on up some cones and some like bars so that we have our own contained situation, and we have parents in those areas. So we only have one entrance. So that kind of helps us gear towards safety. So everyone should come up with whatever event you're going to do, whether it's a carnival or a spring fling, make sure that you have enough parents and some type of contingency safety plan. Any other questions before we move on to our speaker today? Anyone else?
Other question. I had wrote you guys an email about, what was it? Oh, the tax exempt form. I was just wondering what other PTAs did, or if they have a tax exempt form.
So from my understanding in my school, I remember having an actual form that came like from the city. So can someone just verify that, Tiffany? Do you have a tax exempt form in your school? Is it a formal form from the city?
It has a tax ID number, but we've always had it. I think the school had done it for us a long time ago, so they could ask their administration.
Every PAPTA from the last, I think 6 years ago that we checked, everybody has an EIN number. It just carries on. It's the PAPTA's ENA number, so EIN number. So that's what you use, different from the school. Now, a lot of people have been asking, did it come with a form? And that's what we're trying to find out. We had another question from another school. Apparently, they're going to BJ's or stuff like that and showing them the number, but they actually need the sheet, an actual sheet that says.
It's an actual sheet that has your ENN number on it.
Correct.
We're trying to figure out where does that sheet come from.
So this sheet looks like this, but this is the DOE, so you cannot use this. And so I don't know if when
our sheet looks different than that.
Yeah, because this is a DOE, so all PAPTA. So I did call the number today, and I was on hold for a pretty long time. I'm trying to get to see if somebody from the PAPTA can just call the number, give them the information, and then they can mail them another one, or where they could, and maybe they could email one. I don't know. So we're trying to find out where the schools can get one, because a lot of them, you know, like I said, it's a number that has been carried over through the years. So we're trying to get that information to you guys as soon as possible. Hopefully by Tuesday we have it for you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I have the number, but they're not accepting the number, and we've
Correct,
changed.
because they want the number here. This is the DOE ones. I'll cover it, but this is what the sheet would look, and you would show it at the store. So when I used to go buy stuff for the meetings that the superintendent would have here, so that they wouldn't charge me tax, I would show them this, and then that's how they would not charge me the tax and stuff. And I think that's what a lot of you need. So we're trying to see where you get the actual form, and hopefully we have that answer for you by Tuesday.
I just looked up exemption certificates for sales tax, and it says that you would have to contact, I guess,
there's a number there.
Yeah.
And that's what I called today, but I was on hold for a pretty long time.
If you can try, maybe they have an online, I don't know. But it seems like they're the ones who give it, because if they're the ones giving you the number, they have to be the ones that give you the certificate.
Yeah, I didn't see an email, because what I was referred to was PAPTA link, which is a website. So they have a lot of information there. So I went on there and I didn't see an email for the actual state that issues this. So I think the phone call. So I will try.
Okay. Thank you, Esther. Okay, so if there's no other questions, I'm going to pass it on to Katie from Inside Broadway, and she's going to tell you a little bit about what they do, and we'll talk after. Go ahead, Katie.
Hi, thank you all so much and thank you, Francis, for inviting me to speak. So we're Inside Broadway. This is our 40th year with providing arts education to students in all 5 boroughs. We serve about 90 schools, about 75,000 children are in our program. We also serve D75 and D79 schools. We have a social emotional learning program that's tailored especially for our students with disabilities and lingual learners. So if you're thinking about going for that grant this year, if you don't know about it, I can have Francis give you my email, or I can tell you my email. It's not due until Friday, and I'd be happy to help anyone write that grant. It's $15,000 for the next school year. We are a vendor, so we have a DOE vendor number. We also have a contract number, so we can do contracting up to $25,000 without there being any exceptions, and then we are allowed to do above that. We also, if you're a summer rising site and you're looking for a summer rising program, we have several. I have musical theater, dance, drama, improv, or I can tailor something to you. We also have opportunities if funding is an issue for you and you're looking for ways. There is the SWDL's multilingual language. It was the ELS grant before. That grant, which is due on the 17th. There's also CASA, the Cultural After School Adventures. If your school does not have that grant, that comes from the City Council. There's no paperwork on your end. You just have to reach out to your council member and let them know that you'd like to have Inside Broadway. Our program for CASA is 3 components. We have an after school Build a Musical program, and that is 50 hours of service where the students work on a musical that we write in-house. So every student gets a part. It's not like doing Annie where one person has a big part and someone else has a very small part, or they don't get cast at all. Every child that comes out gets a part in our show. They work with professional Broadway musical directors, choreographers, and actors who direct their show. And then they perform at the end. We also provide, through that grant, costume pieces. We do printed programs, and every child receives a trophy. In the CASA, you also receive our professional professional touring company for children's theater. This year we did a show called My Town, which is all about New York City, and used the music of George M. Cohan. Next year, we are going to be bringing back our show, Sophisticated Ladies. It's a 45-minute version of the Broadway show, so it fits into a school period, and it uses equity actors, stage managers, 802 union musicians. We bring the sets, the lights, the costumes. We bring the piano even. So all we say is butts in the seats, and it comes with a what we call our study buddy, which is all about the show and about theater. So that's all part of the CASA program. And the bonus of CASA is you're invited to Creating the Magic. Creating the Magic is an Inside Broadway exclusive. We partner with a Broadway show, and you get a limited number of seats. It's usually about 45 or 50 to come to a theater, and you don't see the entire show. What you see are pieces of the show, but then you see something that you won't see anywhere else, which is how everything works. We've partnered with Wicked, so we showed how the monkeys fly, how Glinda's ball works, how the Oz Great and Terrible Mask puppet works. We've also done Hairspray. For our older students on Friday, we did Creating the Magic with Chicago, a cleaned up version of Chicago. But they learned how to do Fosse moves. They learned what the musicians do on stage, the life of an actor. And that is a free trip to Broadway. Next year, we'll be still celebrating our 40th in the fall. So we'll be partnering with the Phantom of the Opera. So any schools that are working with us get invited to that Creating the Magic. We also, through the City Council, there's a grant called the Cultural Immigrant Initiative, and that is up to $20,000 of free services from Inside Broadway paid for by the council. And that is a deep dive into culture. So it's a build a musical again, where students do interviews. So the entire script and the music, it all comes from their point of view. So it's truly their show. And that also comes with costumes and printed programs. And then finally, from the council, you could get discretionary funding, which would be a small scale program in your school, which would probably serve anywhere from 5 to 6 classes for about 8 to 10 sessions. And you could build a musical, you could do our Shakespeare program, you could do improv, we could do a straight drama. We also do conflict resolution. We have a licensed drama therapist on our staff that works with all of our team and also goes into our schools to work. We also do professional development for staff that can be complimentary depending on the size of your package, or you can just purchase it outright. Just want to make sure that I know I don't want to take up too much of your time. We also have in our programming, we can come into your school and do, as I said, drama therapy. So if you're looking for a social emotional program as we come out of COVID and you'd like to build something, we can absolutely do that for you as well. We work from 3K to 12th grade. We're actually in some of your schools. We are at, we just finished last week at 21Q. We did a pre-K kindergarten, 2nd and 3rd grade program. We did heroes and villains. So we used Disney to talk about behavior and being a good citizen. And then for our older students, we turned the book Enemy Pie into a musical. So we also do a lot of taking books and inserting musical numbers into that so that students can take a deeper dive either into something that's connected to the curriculum or just something that's going to be fun that meets your school-wide needs. We're also in your district at, we just finished at 169Q. They had a cultural immigrant program, so we were able to serve K1 and 2 in one program, and then 3, 4, and 5. And they put a little bit of their own Project Arts money in, a little bit of their own DOE money to extend the program. And we just finished that, and we're currently working on the MLL and SWD grant with them. All of our teachers are fingerprinted and cleared through the DOE PET system. All of my artists have at least a bachelor's degree in their field. Most have a master's, and 2 of them have a doctorate. We have multiple languages spoken by our team. We have Spanish, English, German, French. We also have some Korean and Cantonese speakers on our staff. So depending on your needs, we can hopefully meet those expectations for you. We also have my staff. My background is, this is my 38th year working with students. I have a master's in special education and a bachelor's in musical theater. So I put those 2 together. Our staff, we have a specially trained staff just for our D75 schools. And for our D79 schools, I have a great team that really helps those students make connections and have a great time as they've come back into the education system to make school more fun. We can also do Saturday school, after school, in school, whatever your needs. Are there any questions?
I have a question, Katie. Do you also do workshops, like single workshops, assemblies? And I know you do the in-house residency. And for those who don't know what the in-house residency is you actually create a program within your school for either, I don't know what the minimum, like 4 to 10 weeks, depending on your budget, to have like a final product for the children. Do you do assemblies, one-day assemblies, or you just do the rest?
So we do. We have our tour. Thank you for reminding me. My company manager would be so angry at me. So we have a tour that we build it. It's part of the CASA program. So that's our tour that goes out. In years past, we've done You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. As I said, we're bringing back Sophisticated Ladies. That tour is an assembly program. You can buy 1 or 2 show day. It includes study buddies for everyone. It includes a prep. So that means that before the show comes, we send artists into the schools to meet with the classes that are going to be seeing the show, to give them a little bit of background information, play some theater games, get them really thinking about questions that they can ask at the talkback. And then on show day, when the tour comes, our company manager, Nick Sala, he'll book that with you. And then after each performance, you will have, they carve out time so that the students can ask the actors and the musicians that are there and the stage manager any questions that they'd like about the show. And those are one-day assemblies. For the in-school residencies, you can elect to either have a program, have a big culminating with like bells and whistles, like we can have a live musician, depending on what your budget. All of our tracks are studio made. We don't pull things from YouTube. We actually have Charles Santoro. He just finished doing Mrs. Doubtfire. He has a professional studio. He makes all of our tracks. So they are child friendly, and those are all given to your classroom teachers. Also included, we do all the lyric sheets, all the scripts. If scripts are created, we will then produce those scripts so that the students have something to take home. We can also create a Google Classroom and put everything in there. If you'd like to have videos made, most of our teaching artists are adept, and they will make videos so that students outside of class time can pull those videos down and watch things at home so that they can learn at their own pace if they're a little frightened in class, or as the class goes on and they get a little more comfortable. But in the beginning, that's a great help for them. So those are some of the programs. If you'd also like to do something that is just acting, or you'd like to take a deeper dive into curriculum, I have some schools that are just finishing up. We're working on the modules that they are doing. So we've taken one school, for instance, they've just finished up New York City for 5th grade. So we're looking at New York City through the immigration lens, but also through social justice and workers' rights. So we're doing songs from Newsies, we're doing some songs from Working, we're doing some things from Rags. So each class, how that works is the teachers, so that classroom teachers don't have to change their schedule. So for instance, say 5 classes were participating, each class would have their own production number. Everybody will participate in the opening number and the closing number, which we call a park and bark in the theater, where you just stand and sing. But the other number is their own specific number that's choreographed for them, and they don't have to worry about when am I going to rehearse with the other classes. So it's their own standalone number, and the teaching artist will also help them develop a script or pattern depending on the grade level that we have, so that each class has their own portion of the show. So they don't have to rehearse together. So we take the onus off of the classroom teachers of trying to find that time for that. So we also have a program that became very popular that I developed during the early days of COVID when we were all online, but now it's transitioned live. And so if you were looking just for fun things to do, like we call it Fun Friday, we have a program called the Broadway Lunch Break. It doesn't have to happen during lunch. It also happens during breakfast. Sometimes it happens after school. What happens is I send in a Broadway person, a Broadway dancer, and each session is a brand new show. So they'll hear a little bit about the show, and then they'll learn a choreographed number in that class period. We've cut it down so that it's manageable, so that they have that sense of accomplishment, but it's something that if you don't want to have to worry about having an end product, you don't want to put that stress on your teachers, it's a fun activity to have where they're still learning about Broadway, they're still learning about different themes. So for instance, this year, I had schools purchase it from January until June. And then I worked with them to discover what they would like to do as their theme each month or each couple of weeks. So it's June, and so we're doing what makes me proud because it's Pride Month. So it could be anything that makes them proud. We did Black History Month. We did Women's History on Broadway. So we did a spotlight on women choreographers and directors. We do Student Voice and Choice, where we give them a whole list of songs. The teaching artist talks them through it, and they select what is going to be the content for that month. We usually do that around May. So that's a fun program that you can also, if you wanted to do something remote, if you wanted to purchase it for days that you might be going remote next year, for snow days, because I know we no longer have snow days, you can bank that, and then we can, on those days, the teaching artist can come onto the screen and you can have 5 classes participate. So you really get a lot of bang for your buck. So there's also, that program if you wanted to do something that didn't have a culminating activity.
Katie, if someone, you mentioned some of the grants and that you would help write the grants. Is there a fee? Is there a fee for this? For
Absolutely not. That's my time, and we want to have new partners. We want to, I'm a big arts for everyone, and so I want to make sure that schools get programming. So if I can help that,
yeah, if you can put your contact information in the chat. That would be helpful. Because I think that's an important, writing grants is like a technique in itself. So I think that if you're willing to do that for them, that would be amazing for the schools. I definitely will pass this information to my school, and I recommend all of you too. Performing arts and any visual arts is always great for the kids, social, emotional. It actually teaches them an outlet to express themselves and to find out things about themselves. We have a program now in our school. Any performance arts turns out, it's kind of, especially for the timid children, and then you get to kind of see them shine within programs like this. So we definitely recommend them to help with the social, emotional piece of it. So at this time, thank you, Katie. Does anybody have any questions for Katie? Anyone?
So I see that someone said, do you need permission from the school before you apply for a grant? What I would do is ask your principal if if you're looking for like the CASA or the cultural immigrant or discretionary funding, just check with your principal, because you might already have they might already have a partner, and I don't want to step on any toes. The same thing for a grant. You might just want to mention to them, hey, we'd like to apply for this grant. I've never met a principal who said no to writing a grant that might bring art services into their school. So, but that's on an individual. But feel free to either give me a call or shoot me an email and say, I'd like to work on this. Obviously, it's Friday, but the grant isn't too hard of a lift. The MLL, the Arts for Multilingual Learners and Students with Disabilities grant, it's about 5 pages. So, and lots of those questions I can actually do for you. So I can answer for you. And then, I'm in my office tomorrow. I have a show in the morning, but I'll be in my office after 1 o'clock. And then, but if you shoot me an email and give me a contact number, I'll get back to you as fast as I possibly can. But this is also the time, if you're looking for a CASA grant or a cultural immigrant grant, this is the time to ask your council member. They just put out what's called Schedule C today. So the discretionary money is already spent for just the small pots, but CASA and cultural immigrant get decided in July and August, early August. So it's not too late. How you can look for your council member. If you don't know who your council member is, you can go to the, just Google Council, New York City Council. When it takes you to the website, at the top bar, there's a search. You put in your street address and your borough, and then hit go, and it will bring up the one name of that person. If you'd like to partner with us for the CASA or cultural immigrant, and you search who your council member is, you can shoot me an email, and I may already have a relationship with them, or my government liaison may already have a relationship with them, and we can work together. So sometimes, just so you know, you don't get it the first time, but they do remember. I have a school that tried for 3 years, and now they've gotten it every single year from the council member.
Well, that's really good information, Katie. So thank you so much. And I hope that, you know, schools apply for this type of programming. It's much needed in the schools. So if a grant can help relieve some of that pressure off their budget, that would be amazing. Any other questions for Katie?
Thank you all so much, Francis. Thank you for allowing me to come and for the invite. And thank all of you for letting me come into your meeting. And I hope to see you at your schools. And also, if you want to just email me with a contact number for you or a contact email, when we have our Creating the Magic, when we have extra seats, we do give them out to new schools. So feel free to send me your, to contact me and say, we'd like to get on that list for the trip to Broadway.
Thank you so much, Katie.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great week and a happy summer. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, that concludes our speaker for tonight. I'll open it up for anything that you want to talk about, any questions, any concerns that you have, any questions about the upcoming elections or your elections. So I'll just open up the floor. You can raise your hand.
Francis, I do see a lot of new people. I wonder if any of the people here are the newly elected presidents or co-presidents from their school. If you want to introduce yourself.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carlos Franco. I'm the new PTA president for PS 184.
184.
Excited to be here, and I look forward to attending more meetings and working with you guys and learning more about my role and how we could help in schools in our district.
Carlos, and you'll be here next Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Awesome.
Thank you, Carlos, and thank you for being a parent leader and stepping up to the plate. Rachel?
Hi, my name's Rachel Baltadano. I'll be the new PTA president at PSIS 499, the Queens School for Math, Science, and Technology near Queens College. Oh, and that's my kindergartner.
Rachel, congratulations.
Thank you.
You were on the board before, right, Rachel?
Yes, at the beginning of this year I was.
Oh, thank you so much for staying a parent leader and helping your district. So we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nom, nom, nom.
And we appreciate you too. Anyone else want to introduce themselves?
I know JB13 Pro said that she was newly elected president, but I did not get her name.
Hi, this is Jennifer Berardi. I'm actually not new. This is actually year 2 for me.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes, but I am the president for the PTA of PS 21.
Awesome.
Oh, so you guys had Inside Broadway.
Apparently, I did not know, but it sounded good to me. Yeah.
Sounded excellent. I was wondering who is PS 21. I would love to know more information.
Brooke, are you did you get elected as president?
Yeah, I'm co-president again. But I'm looking at Tiffany. She's giving me.
What's 193, right?
Yep.
She's co-president with Vicky.
Okay, and then who else? Alicia, what school are you from? I'm trying to get familiar so that next week when you come, I already know you, and I just give you a code so we can vote and get it, fast.
Alice, you mean?
Oh, Alice, yeah, sorry. And then I have somebody from PS 163, Caillou Lam.
Hi, I'm Alice. I'm from 185.
Hi, Alice. 185.
I will
okay.
just remix and Annie's gonna be the president. Annie Lai.
Oh, okay.
Who's
So
joining next Tuesday.
all right, perfect. So Annie is the president. Yep. And what are you, Alice?
So I'm gonna be recording secretary for the next year.
All right.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Caillou Lam, and I am a co-president this year, and I'm going to elect the president next year, the next school years.
Okay.
Thank you, Caillou. And Carlos, you had your hand up too? Again?
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I have a little one that wants to say hi to everyone.
Okay.
Oh.
Coming at me?
Are they running for any position?
Hi.
Are you running for any
for
position?
kindergarten next year.
Oh, for kindergarten. Uh-oh.
Say hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
How
Hello,
are you?
hello. Well, I only see Elizabeth, who's on an iPhone. I don't know what school you're representing. And then I just saw somebody from PS20, but everybody's welcome. It's great to see new faces. And if we'll start with the questions, and looking forward to seeing all of you next Tuesday. Remember that we need 8 schools represented to go ahead and have an election here at President's Council.
So it seems most of you here have done your elections or going to. Make sure that you send all the information to Esther, all the contact information of everyone that's on your PTA. Any questions you have being on the PTA or any, you know?
Is there like an online website for like guidelines or rules or forgot what the actual name was?
The
So
bylaws?
you would go,
Bylaws, thank you.
You would go to the Department of Education website.
Okay.
Let me see if I could go
But
ahead.
really the bylaws from your school is your guidelines.
I see.
You would start with that. It'll kind of guide you. And then there's also the chancellor's regulations that you can get what the website Esther's talking to you. And then you can kind of match, because every 3 years you have to look at your bylaws and make sure that they coincide with the chancellor's. You cannot put something in your bylaws that's not in the chancellor's regs. So for example, if the chancellor's reg says, you know, you can have term limits, then you can put term limits and then you decide what you want the term limits to be and so forth. But if the chancellor's reg says you cannot do something, you cannot add that to your bylaws. And if you find something in your bylaws that conflicts with the chancellor's, you have to remove it right away. But that is the best thing. The bylaws kind of gives you all your powers and all your, what you can do, what you cannot do. And if you have to do something, this is the way you do it. So always start there. There is a website called PTA, PTA link.org. And that gives you a general view of what PTAs do and so forth. But the powers that you have is mostly what's in your bylaws.
Understood. Thank you so much for that.
So I went ahead and put the link. I went ahead and put the link in the chat so you could go ahead and get familiar with the Department of Education website. And they talk in general about PAPTAs and everything that you need to know about PAPTAs in terms of, you know, members, officers, election, grievances, meetings, notification. It tells you everything that you need to know to give you an example of you're really like new and you have no, you know, you want guidance. You have the Chancellor's Regulation A660. You also have, you know, a folder that gives you all the documentation. And shares a lot of documents if you want ideas for flyers on how to, you know, get creative for the meetings. And it just tells you everything that you need to know about, you know, PAPTAs. It talks about the bylaws. It talks about your notification. You know, you have to have 10 minimum. You have to have 10 meetings a year. You need to know what date, the time and place of the meeting, where it's going to be held so that all your parents in your school are aware. It has to be a standard meeting where, you know, you can't change it every month. Today, we're going to have it on Tuesday, tomorrow on Wednesday. It's standard where, you know, like President's Council, For all of you that are new, President's Council is held every month, the third Monday of the month, except if that Monday is a holiday or something's going on, then it will be moved to the following Monday. But everybody knows for the years and years, President's Council in their bylaws, the meetings for President's Council is every third Monday of the month. So that's what you want to kind of establish in your schools. You also have, I put it on the link. It talks about finances. If your treasurer needs help with finances, it gives you all the information that you need there. And it also gives a PAPTA link website that Francis talked about. That link, that organization started with a bunch of parents from Brooklyn, and they got together. A lot of them were lawyers, and they got together to go ahead and help each other out when it came to PAPTAs, and then they created this nonprofit organization called PAPTAlink.org, and you would find everything that you need to know about PAPTAs also there. And it's linked on the first one that I added, the DOEs. It's added there, so it's also another resource for parents. Now, if you have parents that speak other languages, that's not just English, and you have Mandarin, Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese, whatever it is, Spanish. When you go to the DOE website on the top, you could select the language that you're looking for, and your parents that are non-English speakers could go ahead and read in their language, and they could also get involved. So, you know, English, if you have families that do not speak English, that should not stop them from participating, because the DOE has everything translated in, you know, the 9 languages.
Carlos, your PTA is already doing all this stuff. So the most important thing for you to do, I don't know if you're a parent in the school already, is just connect with the current PTA president. They have to kind of turnkey and hand everything down to you. You're not reinventing. You already have, like Fred said, you already have bylaws. You already have a bank account. But they need to give you all the passwords and the codes and all that stuff. So the most important thing is just connect with that current PTA president before they leave. That way you get all that stuff handed down to you.
Yeah, they usually have a transfer of records. Like
whoever
was the president before will say, Carlos, this is the way I did it. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to do it the way they did it, but I will say this, you know, like Louis said, you don't want to reinvent the wheel, because we don't have time. We only have 1 year, really only like 8 months. So, but whatever's not working in your PTA is something that you want to reinvent. But anything that's working, keep, because it just shows that parents worked hard to get it to that level. So I always tell parents that, you know, whatever works, keep, and then whatever doesn't, then you can reevaluate. But what we did in our school is we have like a Bible in the sense of what each position does when they do it. That's something that if your PTA doesn't have now, maybe something that you might want to start working on to kind of help, like a little guidebook to say, you know, this is when we do, maybe in January, we do this in February, you know, and stuff like that, to kind of help those that, you know, go into the position.
Thank you. I appreciate all the information.
But we're here to support you. If you need help, you can just email us. I'll put, let me see if I always forget my, all right. I'm going to look for my email.
Also, when we were in person, it was always a time to, all the PAPTAs, the presidents of the PAPTAs would come together, and then we would have like an information, or people would ask questions, and that's how you learn. It's the same thing at the meetings, where we try to ask the questions so that should the same issue arise at your school, you already know because you heard it at President's Council. But feel free to email. Francis put the email there, and I'm putting my email. And we work in conjunction, so I get an email, and I would then brainstorm with Francis to get an answer. There you go.
The meeting is next Tuesday at 6:30. It is a special meeting, and a flyer will go out after today.
It went out the day that you gave it to me, so both flyers went out. I will send it out again tomorrow. But there's a website that I want to share. I want to talk to you guys, all the new people that are here. We do have a District 25 website, and let me go ahead and get it for you, and I'll put it on the link also. This website is where you went ahead and logged in today to go ahead. It's www.d25.nyc, and that is where you went ahead and logged in to come into the meeting. That is it's a district website where you could go ahead and get, if you want to find out anything about District 25 and the schools that are part of the district, you could go on there and find out information. If you want to attend a CEC meeting, those are the community education meetings that happen every first Wednesday of the month, very informative meeting. You could go ahead onto that website and log in under CEC and attend the meeting. You forgot the link, you don't know where the link, you just come to it's one link, you check it, click it, and it takes you to our meeting. It's the same link every meeting for President's Council, so it doesn't change.
And I just want to say that, you know, parent involvement is always an issue, right? To get people to step up because people feel they have no time or whatever the case may be. Always, all year round, you should be engaging parents, finding out their concerns and just being there to support them, and just, you know, have your committees, get them into volunteer. There's always something that they can be involved in, so that when elections come, they just want to come in and help you some more. So that's just an ongoing process that we need to keep engaging with our parents and giving them as much information as we can and support. Anyone have any other concerns, issues, questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't push send. There you go.
Francis, can I ask about the first meeting in September for you guys so I can put on the website?
Sorry. So we usually discuss the calendar the first in September. So the first meeting in September, according to the bylaws, would be, didn't I tell you that, Louis, earlier? September 19th. So September 19th is the third Monday of the month. And that would be our first meeting. And that's the first meeting that the newly elected board in front of everybody will discuss, go through the calendar and set the calendar together. So then you would go to the next month, which would be October. And then you would look at the third Monday. What day is it? Okay, everybody, nothing major is happening. And with the DOE, nothing, no parent teacher conference, no holiday. Okay, set. Next, we'll go to November. And that's the way you do it.
So September 12th, you mean?
No,
19th.
19th.
September 19th.
Oh, 19th is the third.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a holiday, Esther?
No holiday, nothing. We have a holiday on the 5th.
On the 26th.
And on the 26th.
So I'll just put the 19th as just the only meeting date for next year, and then you'll discuss the calendar on September 19th. Okay.
Yeah.
The meeting date's actually already on the website because I saw it tonight when I was looking for to confirm today's meeting.
Yeah, so I'm just setting this up for you guys. I haven't put it on the website.
Yeah, so Louis handles the website. So Louis handles the website, and so he's ahead of the game. He's like
We'll make sure Francis likes that date. It's a nice date. September.
No, it's not. We have to follow the bylaws.
Bylaws, right.
So remember, as a member of the PAPTA or the board, you don't decide. You don't come in and say, oh, I'm going to have the meeting on the 12th. It's you have to follow protocol right. and guidance because you don't want a parent who's been, who works and then knows that the meeting's on the 19th, but they decided to change it on the 12th and nobody told me. And so you always have to make sure that, all your parents, all your community or your schools aware when the meeting is or where they could go find the link. So before, when we were in person, you knew that the school was the meeting was at the auditorium every second Tuesday of the month. So all the parents knew that that's where the meeting was at. But now that we're doing virtually, you want to go ahead, and things might change when September comes. They might say, you know what, let's all go back in person, and then we'll be meeting all of you in person here at the conference room on the 4th floor. And we'll see what happens in September. But for right now, we're doing the election virtually and this meeting.
Now, if you find that the day that's listed in your bylaws is not working with your community, then you have to go back to your community and find out what day would they like. Would they want to have maybe alternate one morning PTA, one evening? It all depends. Every school community is different. So that's a conversation that you have to have with your school. And then you go through the process of how to change that in your bylaws. And usually how it works is you talk about it, and then in the next meeting, you suggest a change, and then you can vote on it.
Now, if our bylaws already have like more than one option, like it has the...
And you don't have to change them.
And as long as we let everyone know, say we do the schedule at the beginning of the year, and we have one night, and then one morning, 1 month, then morning the next month.
Because it's already on your bylaws.
Yeah. You already,
say you are established and you do one morning, one night. So September, you're going to do a morning meeting. October, you're going to do a night, right? So say nobody's showing up to your meeting. So now it's time you have to survey your community, your parents. By community, I mean your parents in your school, to find out. So just because it worked so many years before doesn't mean it's going to work every year. So say you survey your parents, and now they're saying that they just want night meetings. So then you would go ahead and present that to the PAPTA board on it, vote on it, change your bylaws, and then your meetings now at your school will now be in the night. But say I'm the parent that didn't go to the meeting, and I want to know where or why did you change the dates? If we were having one morning and one night, then you would go ahead and look at your minutes, and you would say, on June 13th, at our meeting, we went ahead and discussed it. We did a survey the week before. The parents agreed. Here's on the notes. And so that's why it's very important that the secretary takes notes, because that way you have, and you're like, okay, that was agreed upon, all the parents. So that's it. You're there. But, if they come and say, why did you change the meeting? Oh, because Esther she couldn't make it because she had a concert. Then that does not go. You cannot do that to parents. You have to stay on, on whatever your dates are, so it can be consistent for all the parents, and that way you can get more involvement.
Thank you.
Any more questions? And you'll learn. I know that a lot of you are new, and you're going to learn as you go. Actually, there should be a folder that is handed out to everybody, and the folder should look something like this. This is mine, and this is everything that is done in the year. And so I could go ahead and look and say, okay, what we did on February, what we did on March, what we talked, who were the guests, who came. Now it's a little bit more easier because it's online, and we have everything, I have a folder where I have all the agendas. I have a folder where, the agendas tell me who the guests were and who was. So if President's Council wants to know, who did we have last June? What happened last June? I could tell them, okay, you had 2 meetings. You had the regular meeting, and you had a guest speaker. The superintendent always comes to our meetings. At your school, it could be your principal, it could be your assistant principal, it could be somebody that comes to your meetings to give a general report, just like the superintendent did. Now, the superintendent did the whole district. Your principal could just talk about your school. So that's going to be a permanent guest. But today we had a guest speaker. So next year, should they ask me, whoever the president is, I'll say, okay, last year, June 13th, they had blah, 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 blah. And this is what we had. They're like, okay, we might want to bring that person again, or we might want to bring another person. So That's how you kind of look at it. And that information should be shared with you guys with the incoming board. Like, here's the folder. Good luck. See you later.
So some of the things we're going to say to some of you who are new on the PTA, or certain things that we always look at. There's always needs 2 to 3 signatures on a check, depending on what your bylaws say, but usually it's 2. And the 2 people cannot be in the same department. So for example, if there's 2 co-presidents, those 2 co-presidents is 1 signature, if that makes sense. So you cannot have those 2 co-presidents sign and consider that 2 signatures. It is just one or the other have to sign, and then you have to get another signer. You cannot sign a check that is made out to you for some type of reimbursement. It has to be 2 other people. You know, certain things, when you hold elections or anything, they have to be fair and unbiased. You would have a nominating committee or someone who's not running host your meeting. Esther and I were helping out schools who needed that support. So little things, like Esther said, you learn as you go along, but there's certain things that we just know you cannot do. And that's why.
And I want to, great, Francis, that you brought that up. I want to bring this up. So it's been customary that PAPTAs always take the principal into account with whatever you do. So if you have a flyer that's going to go out, you know, just have her, hey, this is the flyer that's going out. It's like FYI, you know, this is the flyer that's going out. This is what we're doing. There should be meetings where you have a meeting with your principal and you discuss the year. This is what we're going to have this year. And the principal might say, oh, well, you know, you want to have a carnival in May, but, you know, why don't you have it in April? Because we want to have this in May. And so you discuss, meeting of the minds, and then you go ahead and plan. You are the PAPTA and you are your own entity, but you are a PTA of the school. So you always want to go ahead and include the school to let them know, especially the principal, what's going on, so that you could work together. And sometimes your principal might say no to some things, but it's not because they just don't want that. It's because probably there's already a lot of things going on in the school. And they might suggest, okay, next month. So, you know, you work together so you could all be on the same page.
And if it's something you feel that should go to your school leadership team, maybe some type of programming, bring it there as a school and kind of work it out all together to discuss the issues of why we would want to implement something and so forth. But definitely it just gets a little easier when you can all work together, especially alongside your principal, because your principal has a little bit more insight of the school and staff environment than sometimes the parents do. And then we have more insight on what the parents want. So together, working alongside, you can get more things done. Any other questions or concerns? No one else? Well, I hope this meeting...
Okay, so the PAPTA EIN number, every school has one. So 6 years ago, we checked, every school has one. Your exiting PAPTA should have that number. There is a phone number where you could go ahead and call and find out. And let me see if I have that number. I'll give it to you guys right now.
Yeah, all the documents should be in your PTA room. There should be some type of file or book, and you should be able to find that there. And like I said, usually you have a transfer of meeting. You have a meeting where you transfer all the records, and each department should be meeting with each department. So for example, the previous president should be meeting with the new president and kind of communicating and just meeting and saying what they did, this is how they found it, and so forth. Same thing with all the other positions, just to make it easier for the new boards.
Let me go ahead and put that link on there and give you the number. Hold on a second.
Caillou, You say your school doesn't have what?
I'm sorry.
Our school is unable to provide that because we asked previously, and then is the EIN number that our principal provide is something related to the city.
So you will have to. You have a number. The school might not have your number because it was not transferred from previous years. So you will have to call the number, which I'm trying to get for you right now.
Okay.
And then that's where you're going to be able to ask them. Hold on 1 second. Let me find this.
Okay, thank you.
So they should have it in their records somewhere because you're supposed to save everything for over 10 years.
True,
like,
but I know some schools don't have it. So.
Record, but it's just a lot of work in the office there. So a lot of documents are not in place, so it's very difficult for us to retrieve that. And we try to ask them, but we're still waiting for the answer.
Well, you have a bank account, right?
Yeah, we do.
That had to be open with you, right? And I don't know if they would give you.
Oh my God!
I don't know.
So I'm looking for the link that I got, so I could. I just had it. What happened? I'll put it on there. Just give me a minute. No, and I can't find it. I'll put it on there. I know it's a number. Hold on 1 second. I just had it because somebody called. Here it is. I knew I had it. I'll put it in the chat. So you have to call the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. When you call them, you need to tell them that you're calling for your school. You're part of the Parent Teacher Association. You're not the school because your school's going to have their own number. You do not. That's different. You're different entities. So you're going to say you are the PAPTA at the school, and then they're going to look it up for you, and they're going to go ahead and tell you what the number is or how you could go ahead. You might have to email them. Things change every year, so this is the phone number. There you go. So it's 518-485-2889. Okay. Any more questions? Did I see a hand raised? No.
Anyone else? Well, just remember, we put our email in there. If you have any additional questions throughout the year, or if you get one tomorrow, whatever the case may be, you can just email at d25pc1@gmail.com. And we will get back to you. So at this time, it's 8:08. If there's no further questions, I'm going to ask someone to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And can I get someone just to second that? You can just unmute yourself.
I second it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great night. I'll stay on in case you have any
we'll stay on should you need any.
And have a great night, and thank you for being the parent leaders that you are. Good night.